Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Early data from the US company Moderna shows their new vaccine protecting against COVID-19 is nearly 95% effective. The results come hot on the heels of similar results from Pfizer and add to growing confidence that vaccines can help end the pandemic. Both companies, Moderna and Pfizer, used a highly innovative and experimental approach to designing their vaccines and are planning to apply for approval to use the vaccine in the next few weeks. A study by Italy's National Cancer Institute suggests that coronavirus may have spread to the country as early as September 2019. The Cancer Institute looked at past lung cancer screenings and found that about 12% of volunteers in a screening trial had developed coronavirus antibodies between September 2019 and March 2020, and 4 cases dated back to the first week of October, meaning they had got infected in September. The World Health Organization has stated the disease was unknown before the outbreak was first reported in Wuhan in December, and Italy's first COVID-19 patient was detected on February the 21st in a town outside Milan. The United Nations has said the ongoing clashes between the Ethiopian federal government and Tigray regional forces are driving thousands of people to flee in neighbouring Sudan. Since the violence began in early November, more than 15,000 people have fled to Sudan in search of safety, overwhelming the current capacity to provide aid. The numbers are increasing rapidly, with over 4,000 crossing the border in just one day. Humanitarian partners say the number of new arrivals are far outpacing capacity. The majority of refugees transit at the Hamdayat border crossing with a capacity to accommodate 300 people, but it is already overwhelmed with 6,000. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been forced to self-isolate after prolonged close contact with a person who tested positive for COVID-19. Mr Johnson, who was admitted in intensive care with coronavirus in April, has insisted he feels great and that his body is bursting with antibodies. In a video published on Monday, the Prime Minister urged others to follow the rules if contacted by the Test and Trace service. He also said he will drive the government forward via Zoom while he self-isolates in Downing Street.
The bad news is that they pinged me and I've got to self-isolate because somebody I was in contact with a few days ago has developed COVID. And it doesn't matter that we were all doing social distancing. It doesn't matter that I'm fit as a butcher's dog, feel great. So many people do in my circumstances. And actually, it doesn't matter that I've had the disease and I'm bursting with antibodies. We've got to interrupt the spread of the disease, and one of the ways we can do that now is by self-isolating for 14 days when you get contacted by NHS.
Peru's new interim president has resigned a day after 2 people died during protests against his government. Tens of thousands of demonstrators, many of them young, have been taking part in protests against the removal of President Martin Vizcarra in an impeachment procedure over bribery allegations which he denies. Protesters accuse Congress of staging a parliamentary coup as Mr Vizcarra continues to enjoy support among many voters for his attempts at reform. Police reportedly fired tear gas and shot pellets to repel demonstrators, some of whom had thrown fireworks and stones. 2 students were killed in the protests. Manuel Moreno, former Speaker of Congress, had been in the post of interim president less than a week before resigning, following the resignation of 12 ministers from his cabinet in protest against his handling of the crisis. 4 astronauts, 3 from the US and 1 from Japan, have launched from Florida on a mission to the International Space Station in a rocket and capsule provided by the SpaceX company.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
It's only the second time the commercial firm has supplied the service. The US space agency NASA has said it is now entering a new era in which routine astronaut journeys to low Earth orbit are being conducted by commercial providers. SpaceX has signed contracts with NASA valued in excess of $3 billion to develop, test and fly an astronaut taxi service. And finally, a 2-year-old Belgian racing pigeon has set a new world record of €1.6 million at an auction on Sunday. Bidding started at €200 on November the 2nd, but rose to a bid of €1.31 million from a South African group within 90 minutes. 2 wealthy Chinese collectors then fought it out on Sunday. Called New Kim, the bird is only 2 years old and is only raced in 2018, earning the title of the best young bird in Belgium. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.